Hello and welcome to the Keystone Course, a beginner fly tyers course for Pennsylvania anglers. In this course, I will teach you how to become a better fly tyer and in turn, a better angler. In this course, I will be covering 6 topics: fly fishing theory, the 4 orders and 6 classes of flies, tools you will need to get, materials you'll need to buy, techniques that you should learn along the way, and then at the end, I'll cover some fly tying theory. So welcome. I would like to begin this course with something that we're pretty much all familiar with: fly fishing. For most people, I know that they start out with fly fishing and then they move on to tying. But don't worry, if you're unfamiliar to both, this course is still for you. So let's begin with a simple overview of what fly fishing is, and what exactly we do when we fly fish, and why it's called fly fish. Well, think of a spinning rod, first off. The weight of the lure carries the line. Well, in fly fishing, mechanically, that's the opposite. The weight of the line carries the fly. And generally speaking, that would mean we would be fishing with smaller lures or flies. In fly fishing, you try to mimic the natural progression of a trout's diet. Now, what do trout eat? Flies. They eat mayflies, caddisflies, stoneflies, and midges. And I will be getting into what all of those are later in this course. But that is what us fly fishermen do. We imitate that diet. All of these are bugs that start out as eggs in a stream bed. And when they grow up as nymphs in their next stage of life, they carry out their lives on the bottom of the stream. And sometimes they get caught up in the current. And trout take advantage of this. And then when it's their time and they want to molt into an adult, they violently swim up to the surface. Trout take advantage of this. And when a certain species is all climbing to the surface at the same time, it's called a hatch. And you know the trout take advantage of this. Now, for each species of fly, there's a specific time of the year that they will all hatch out. Sometimes the hatches are longer than the others, sometimes they're delayed, but mainly, we fish the hatches. Now that is a very general overview of what fly fishing is, and I will discuss it more in depth in the next section. I just wanted to give you an overview for the context. Now I would also like to mention that trout feed on worms, on eggs, on bait fish like other fish as well. And other fish also feed on flies. But to really fish for trout, you have to understand that natural progression in the stream. And yes, their diet could consist of you putting a worm on a hook and casting it out there. But would you buy this course if that's what you were going to do? I don't think so. In fly fishing, we also mimic the natural behavior of these nymphs. We tie flies that sink. We tie flies that float. We tie flies that have a lot of movement, all to attract the trout. As a fisherman, you should first look at the condition of the stream, which should tell you a bit about what the trout are feeding on. And once you figure that out, you know what flies to fish. And after that, you know what form of fishing you're going to use. So let me give you an example. Let's say it's been raining for 3 days straight, and the water is just straight mud and it's all blown out. Do you think that the trout would be feeding topwater or subsurface? And after that, which type of subsurface fly would you fish? Would you fish a streamer? Would you fish a nymph? And does this rain mean 1 million worms are going to show up in the water next day? Are you starting to see? The fluctuations in a trout's diet could be changing day by day, and even hour by hour. And in fact, it does. Every day, every hour, every minute. You already know this if you're a fisherman, but it's never bad to relearn this. So let's move on to the next section, the 4 orders and 6 classes of flies.